With the Final Shapes launch and another update to Power, I figured I would let people know, those of us who are just joining and those who needed a reminder in case they haven't played in a long time, how Power works, how you can grind for it, and when it will be needed. So looking at the map here for the post-campaign Final Shape Pale Heart, there are a few things you can note right off the bat. The first being, I will use as an example, the basic campaign. The basic campaign is activity power disabled, which essentially means whatever you are at, it will be that. You won't see any notifications right here, but typically when it says this, it might say something to like a fixed -5, which is pretty much an even playing field. There is no advantage, there is no disadvantage. But then you get to things like the Legendary campaign, which also has power disabled, but will put you at a negative deficit, so regardless of what you do, you will always be slightly under power. Now, that is two different versions. There is some activities like this, like Master Raids, well, actually, no, not Master Raids. I will just include simply Grandmaster Nightfalls and Contest Mode Raids. They will always have you at like a -20, 25, whatever they are. Power does not matter. But then you get to things like the Final Shape Extra campaign missions, where your power cap needs to be at 2005, at least to be comparative. Same thing with the raid. It does have a power requirement, but much lower at 1945. That does increase. From there, how do you earn power? Well, there is a few ways to go about it. As you load into Destiny, you will notice that you have pretty much everything at a base of 1900. As evidence, here is all of the Sunset gear that was in my vault until the Final Shape launched. All 1900, everything brought forward. That is the base power level of everything. Now, of course, there is always artifact power, which will always improve your power bonus on top and will be essentially a plus bonus to power permanently, and will never be disabled per se. But then from there, you have your gear that goes up until 1950. Once you get to 1950, any drop in the world will increase your power, regardless of its source. It could be an engram off of the ground, a random engram from a chest, any random source that does not specify can get you up to 1950. But from 1950 to 2000, you're going to need what is known as powerful gear. Powerful gear in its most basic form can be found in a variety of activities, like here in the Purification Vendor Challenge, Powerful Gear Tier 1. This will give you the smallest boost possible once you get to 1950, and give you literally the smallest boost possible past the armor point that you're allowed. In the tower, there is a few basic challenges that can give similar rewards, like Banshee's Bounty Challenge, as well as Hawthorne's Commendation Challenge that give powerful Tier 2. This is the next step up from Tier 1, obviously, and will give you a moderate power bonus somewhere in the +2 to +3 power level range. But then oftentimes, some of the more difficult or most relevant things, like the end tier level of Pathfinder, will give you Tier 3. This will give you a considerably large bump to your power level compared to what you have, sometimes up to like 5 points ahead of what you are earning. From there, you will earn powerful gear until you reach 2000. Now, I will also specify in terms of other activities, like you can see on the Salvation's Edge raid or anything current endgame, Pinnacle is essentially what is going to be dropping from that point. Now keep in mind, you can use Pinnacle to get powerfuls. If you're nowhere near 2000, Pinnacle, it doesn't matter. But once you get to 2000, Pinnacle is going to be the only thing that can upgrade you. So really quickly, I'm going to go through a few sources of both Powerful and Pinnacle to give you an idea of things to do. First off, being Excision, which is an event available to all players. You can literally just run it one time. While it is a maybe 20-minute mission on its own, it can be easily run just for a quick Pinnacle. At the same time, anytime there is a new dungeon or raid, the current active or most recent version of each will give weekly Pinnacles for all 3 of your characters, all the way from start to finish for every encounter. And currently, it is Salvation's Edge, as well as the Warlord's Ruin dungeon in the EDZ if you have access to it from Season of the Wish. These will all drop Pinnacle gear all the way through. Similarly so, oftentimes the most recent seasonal activities will also drop Pinnacle. In this case, the Echoes bits on Nessus, the activities will not only give you for just completing any difficulty, but also completing seasonal activities on higher difficulties, and as well with the Enigma Protocol, basically just opening chests inside will also grant you Pinnacle gear. But some alternate options include the exotic missions that are available and rotate weekly. Basically, just complete the exotic mission twice on normal or once on a higher difficulty, and you'll be able to earn a Pinnacle drop, not to mention additional red borders for anything you might be missing from this mission and its accompanying season. There is one additional source, and that is the weekly featured raid, which you'll be able to tell when every single challenge is active in the modifiers as well as surges, and you will see, of course, this little challenge icon here. However, this is a limited source as it is just a pinnacle from the total completion, so if you don't have a team that you are confident in getting through the raid, or just skip to the end and have somebody carry you through it, can either be quick or a not so worth it pinnacle. In addition, there is as well the weekly featured dungeon that is pretty much the exact same. You will not get pinnacle going through it, but you will get a pinnacle just for the completion. Currently active in the game, there is not many other pinnacle sources. One that is available but not currently is, of course, available in increments, is the earning points in Nightfalls. It's a little bit harder now, just depending on your power, because you do have to get to a much higher. And of course, Grandmasters are not available, which would be the quickest to earn a pinnacle. But there is many other powerful sources that can be found in the ritual activities from the associated exotic engrams. And there is 3 steps to each. So literally, if you just run the ritual playlist over and over again, you will eventually get powerful drops in the form of exotic engrams that can get you a little bit of a power bump. As well, there is Onslaught in Sublimation that will allow you to get powerful gear just from playing waves. If you do run the massive one and just go all the way to tier 50, you can get that, as well as getting one for completing 30 straight waves. A odd weekly outlier as well whenever it runs around is, of course, Trials. I do believe that drops pinnacle rarity gear, as well as the eventual Iron Banner. Running through it, it does seem to drop pinnacle when it's around. Now, as a summary, just keep in mind that a lot of times as the season develops and things unfold, usually in the case whenever a season or an episode rolls over, most of this gets reduced down from pinnacle because it's no longer current, down to powerful. So that will be alternate options to increase your power in case you somehow lapse in your power grind. But from that point, we need to remember as well, in case you don't know, that they reworked the Fireteam power system. So if you actually go to an activity specifically that is of a certain power level, you'll notice right here that I am the power leader, which, because I am the highest power, everyone else in the game is going to be set at 1988, regardless of how powerful their gear actually is. So remember that power grind is required for an extent, because as much as one person can carry you, if you want to take a bunch of people that are lower in power through with you, it is only how far you can get until things get more difficult. I hope this was informative for you and you can learn something in terms of the power grind, because I do know it has been a while. It always refreshes. I just wanted to give everyone a reminder of how powerful and Pinnacle works, and not to mention some of the sources you can go for activities or otherwise sources to find for yourself. With that, my name is TheMadScorpyon. I will see you in the next video.